Hey, what's up to all our sidekicks and henchfolk out there in the mother-loving Geek Nation? You're currently tuning into the CultPop podcast, episode 44, a show where we talk about movies and TV and comics and how the beautiful fall leaves constantly remind us of the inevitability of death and all those other things that scratch your nerdy itch. We're coming to you live from Young Junk HQ. Young Junk! Thank you. A bomb-ass podcasting production space in Manayunk, PA. With me this week are Son, the voice of reason.
What's the deal? It's your man, our Son, the voice of reason, returning from around the world and poverty.
Around
Yeah, I mean,
world,
took you about 80 days, right?
world. Where did you go?
Let's see. We were in the UK this summer.
Oh.
We went to Denmark. We went to the Czech Republic. We were in Amsterdam. Just came back from Tennessee.
That one I know.
Yeah, we were all over the place.
You've never heard of the UK?
No.
I believe it's pronounced ook.
The ook. The old ook.
The ook.
But you're still broke.
Yeah,
Man,
it's a crazy world.
like
It
that's
costs
cool, but
money to
sucks.
travel, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't know. This is all the reminders from Facebook about our live stream.
Oh,
Bleeps and
all
bloops.
kinds of
Since you
them.
asked. Also with me,
Hey,
Brian.
how are you? I'm with you.
Hey.
Yeah.
Aw.
Here we are.
Doink. And
I'm Terry. Terry's back. He hasn't been on in a long time, but I've been watching the whole time, and you guys have been doing a great job. I love
Aw.
seeing it
Oh, thank you, Terry.
stream and evolve, and I liked zooming in and yelling about Blade that one time.
that was fun.
That was pretty cool.
fun. Also in the booth is our trusty producer, Dylan the Great. Remember, if anything goes wrong, Dylan did it.
Oops, sorry.
Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe. Oh, speaking of Dylan doing it, I listened to the new episode that you sent me, and we're talking to you directly, but we can't hear you on the audio podcast.
Yeah, this is the platform.
You effed it up.
Yeah, well, it's because I didn't realize you were gonna call to me. You're like, "Hey, Brian," or you were like, "Hey, Dylan, what you been up to this week?" And I'm like, "Oh, my mic was cut." I was like, I didn't even. Yeah, I was not ready.
You know what? In
Dylan-
retrospect, that was my fault. You're right.
But listen, I wasn't. Next time, now I'm ready. I'm always ready now.
Sweet.
So I learned my lesson.
Welcome to live reviews of your own podcast.
That's right.
Yes.
Now, I have a bone to pick
this
with
is
you
why I don't
about a
listen
very
to my
minor
own
issue in a previous episode. No, I haven't got any.
Oh, okay.
Everything's cool.
Open up
So-
the review link. I'm leaving a comment.
We're doing the thing where we're going to talk about what we've been up to this week, huh? In a segment I lovingly call "What You've Been Up to This Week," huh? Randy, start us off.
Yo, man, I just got caught up on Ahsoka. Bruh. I mean,
Bruh.
obviously, it's Rosario Dawson, so that makes it great. Grrr. But if anybody was ever a Star Wars Rebels fan, yo,
I was.
everybody's back. And like Sabine is in that John, Hera's in it. I should I tell him?
You can.
I mean, if you're not caught up at this point, that's your fault. Grand Admiral Thrawn is on there, man. Like, bro.
I mean, to be fair, the whole
That was
Yeah,
pretty
no,
clear.
yeah,
That was pretty
show
clear.
is to find
Right.
Ezra and
And they're like, no, we
Yeah,
shouldn't go because
yeah.
Thrawn will be
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And then they went to that place.
It actually would have been hilarious.
guess what?
If they just never
Yeah.
Like,
They're like, oh, he died.
yeah.
He's gone. He's been
Got
gone
all
for a
their
while.
bodies. Like, oh
Yeah.
wow, these guys are dead. There's a new guy they just introduced. This dude named Enoch, who's like he's like
that,
a stormtrooper with an actual face,
Yeah.
like a
mask.
Greek statue.
Yeah,
face?
yo, he's
Yeah.
terrifying.
That's cool.
There's this theory that he's gonna be like the next sort of Boba Fett guy, where like
That would be cool.
he does nothing, but everybody is like, this guy's amazing.
Oh, he looks cool.
But because he looks cool. So yeah, man, Ahsoka is that work. I love the episode last week with Anakin on there. The redemption of Hayden Christensen makes me very happy. And so
As
yeah,
an
yeah.
as an actor.
As an actor, just as a dude, like he got so just shat upon on the in the prequels, and it's good to see him able to like reclaim that role and really
Yeah.
kill it.
I agree. And I used to hold it against, but it wasn't his fault. I used to blame the actors,
I
but
still do.
No,
no. I mean, it's clearly what's his nuts, Lucas, who's just telling him because there was even an interview with Harrison Ford, and I believe he was talking about George Lucas and how he was asking him about the lines. He's like, just say the lines, just say them. Like,
Yeah.
there's no, he doesn't
Yeah.
understand that there's an actor's process. Like, even Harrison Ford has a process. And he was just like, yeah, he just does not understand that actors have a thing that they do, and they're trying to do it well. And he's just like, what do you mean? It's on the page. Just read it.
Yeah, there's no way you can convince me that Ewan McGregor, Natalie Portman, Sam Jackson, and Liam Neeson all just forgot how to act.
Right?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, George is not a writer. Is the bigger thing?
No, he's
directing.
He's a concept guy.
Idea man.
He's
Yeah,
directing.
he's an idea man.
His directing is technically right. Yes, read what is on those pages. Pages.
Yeah.
But Lawrence Krasden is responsible for the writing of the original trilogy, right? He was also brought in for episode 7. And there's just a marked difference. I mean, everyone, and myself included, I will always point to that scene of them rolling around in the grass, and them talking about sand and stuff like that. No, I was more in love with you. I mean, it sounds crazy.
I hate that scene.
But
That's
is the words.
Scene, but I hate it.
That is the words that were written.
Yeah.
And you got to figure out some way to showcase it a little bit better. And if you're in with George, like everybody knew the deal.
Yeah.
It's Star Wars.
Yeah.
Don't phone anything in and just say what it says.
Did you ever see Forgetting Sarah Marshall?
Yeah.
Yes.
Of course.
His directing reminds me of Do Less.
Yeah, the surfboard.
The surfboard. Yeah. Try and teach him how to surf. Do less. Anyway, Ahsoka's awesome.
Yeah, I'm loving it.
Is it worth watching?
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah,
It's,
it really is.
it's the one I think of all the new stuff. It feels the most like classic Star Wars. There's some other really good things. Mandalorian, Andor are both great, but this one you see like massive ships sliding through space, and it's like, oh, Star Wars. Like here we are. Yeah.
Who owns Twitter now?
Elon
Musk.
He does.
Does anyone else just look at Thrawn and see blue Elon Musk?
Yes, very
bro.
much so.
It's
Very much so.
distracting
Oh my
how much
God,
he looks like Elon Musk.
Wait, are we sure
Holy
that it's not him playing it?
I looked it up.
Okay. Did you see? To digress for a
Yo.
second, did you see? Apparently, they have sometimes been writing it as Xitter now, right?
No.
and Neil
haven't seen
Gaiman said, in Mandarin, the X is pronounced as sh. So
Shit.
it's
Perfect. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eddie Madison's in the chat saying, "Howdy, y'all. I saw Saw on Peacock last night. It was gory."
Can we just stop for a
I've heard
minute
that
and
about
think,
Corey.
like, that's the best review of anything I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I saw
It was
Saw on
gory.
Peacock. It was gory.
Yeah.
4 stars.
Nailed it.
So that's what Eddie's been up to this week.
Huh.
Yeah.
Brian, what have you been up to this
Hey.
week? Huh?
I'll tell you what, JD, in the first time ever where it actually goes along with the anime-inspired at the end of your what you been up to this week, I have been watching One Piece, the live-action One Piece. Now, I'm not an anime fan. I'm often really interested in the story concepts that they have. I just don't vibe with the execution. The thing that really gets me is some of the, 0 to 100 over-the-top emotional responses sometimes, right? But I often read it and I'm like, well, this thing sounds awesome, right? So I started watching this. Really no idea what it's about. I think I must have seen some images or something or whatever because it looked kind of familiar. It is so much fun.
Yeah.
It's great. It's a boatload of fun. It's
Which is appropriate.
yes, because they're on boats.
Pirates.
Right.
All right.
Yeah. And it's not this world, which I don't know what I thought it was, but it's like a completely separate planet. It's a place where it seems mostly ocean, and the world is divided in kind of like one strip of land going down the center, and then some other mysterious strip of land going across the middle, which the plot revolves around a map to get there. Not really sure because it's just like down.
Yeah.
But so I don't know. But they need a map, right? So
Just pick a
right.
direction that's not left or right.
Right, like follow the land
Yeah.
in one direction.
Yeah.
and you'll find it.
Yeah.
Right, yeah. So it's this very over the top kind of one of those hyper realistic sort of looking things, right? Where they've got a little technology, but mostly it's kind of like not exactly magic, but magic-y sort of stuff. And I did not expect, I didn't know, there were superpowers involved.
Oh.
Yeah. So the main guy, Monkey D. LaFay, is he wants to be a pirate. And his conception of pirate is, I want to be an adventurer who is free all the time.
Right.
Right? I do what I want, and I'm not under anyone's thumb. That's it. He doesn't steal from people. He doesn't
Oh.
do any bad stuff. He
Oh,
just
okay.
wants that. And he's fighting somebody, and all of a sudden, he stretches out of the way, you know, and I'm like, oh, this guy has
Reed
stretchy
Richards.
powers. Reed Richards style.
Yeah.
And I had thought, because I saw one image of that as a promo image, and I had thought, oh, it's just exaggerated anime style mouth movement or whatever, right? Not so.
Yeah.
And it's all based on there's these fruits that you can eat. And so different people in the series have different powers, right?
I think they're called dragon fruit.
They are called devil fruit. Actually.
Devil fruit,
Yeah,
thank
yeah.
you.
Dragon fruit's a real thing.
Yep.
You
Doesn't
won't
give you powers.
Probably not.
Yeah.
I've eaten several, and so far nothing.
So far.
So
Yeah.
far.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's just this cool story of he sets out just to go on adventures. He gathers a crew around him of friends who don't really want to be on the crew at first, but they become friends, you know, that kind of thing. One guy carries 3 swords, and he's like, where's the third one go? Right? Because what are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
Goes in his mouth.
Oh.
He holds it in his teeth. So,
okay.
Yeah,
why
yeah.
not?
All right.
What's that character's name? Virgil.
Roronoa Zoro.
Wow.
That's right.
Roronoa Zoro.
That's a lot of names.
Yeah.
I think he just goes by Zoro mostly.
It's interesting, just as an aside, looking at something from another culture that, like, yeah, sometimes we use names from a Japanese culture. They know about Zoro.
Yeah.
They know a good sword
Why
guy
not?
can be called Zoro, right? So they do call him that. And yeah, there's another cool thing when they're talking to each other, like an intercom or a phone is sort of a microphone that projects itself through a large snail's mouth.
What?
Yeah, it's just some weird stuff.
Sure.
It's cool.
Oh, all
it's
right.
so much fun, and I really highly recommend it.
So Sushan and I were on the couch the other night, as we are at night, and she had said that a lot of her clients were talking about how great this show is. So we plopped it on, and we made about 10 minutes into the pilot,
We're into it.
and Sushan was like, "I don't care about that."
This is the live action, the live action one.
Yeah.
It hurts.
Yeah.
So I'll try it again when Sushan's not around.
Yeah.
But yeah, that sounds fun.
It's fun. It's emotional. There's like good emotional bonds by the end of it. It's just cool, adventuresome fun.
Netflix?
Netflix.
Great.
Yeah.
The thing I'm most interested about that show is that is the first time ever that the creator of the manga and the creator of the anime is in the creative force that
Oh,
making
that's
the
cool.
show.
Oh wow.
Yeah. That's
So
pretty
there's
cool.
a reason that
didn't even know
all
that.
of the angles
Mm.
look like manga angles, and
Yeah.
all of the
Yeah.
elaborations because the guy who drew it
Mhm.
is
Oh.
sitting in the director's seat.
Oh wow.
You know, so this
awesome.
is that's why I'm really excited to see if they capture the magic, because One Piece is huge. Just so you know, it is the biggest, most widest read piece of literature. Period. Full stop.
Is that right?
100%.
Wow.
One Piece.
Isn't it also like the longest manga? Like I don't know.
I think
don't
so.
know
Oh,
what the,
yeah, it goes on.
I think so. I don't know if it's
Yeah.
longer than like the Monkey King or whatever the original is, but it's massive. This is the destroyer. So this has sat atop. There's this thing called Shonen Jump.
Yeah,
Mhm.
of course.
It's been
magazine.
at the top of Shonen Jump for a decade
Wow.
plus, like undefeated until I think Hunter x Hunter or that Demon Slayer movie that came out that was a big thing. I think that finally dethroned it, but it's massive. Like the
Wow.
reach of this thing is huge.
And is it just like
It's a-
zany hijinkery the whole time? Or?
No,
Yeah.
it's one story they're telling the whole time. There are no detail, there are no derailment. It's Monkey wants that treasure. And it's a specific treasure. It's not all the treasure. There's one specific treasure chest that if someone finds, they become king of the pirates.
Yeah,
That's
there
the
was a
whole thing.
guy. The backstory. There was a guy called Gold Roger who
Yeah.
was like the greatest pirate of all time. He gets captured. They kill him, but on his execution, he's like, "I hid the One Piece somewhere.
Yeah.
Go out and find it, and you'll
Well,
become the king
I
of the
saw
pirates."
that,
Piece
and I
is
was
the
like,
treasure.
Yeah.
There's no hint. Everyone just
No.
they just scatter. Everyone's
Just
like, "Yeah,
find
go
it.
get it." I'm like, "Where are you going?
Yeah.
Where? There's no hint. There's
You got to
nothing.
find that
They
treasure.
know it's not there. You know,
But-
it's somewhere else.
Now.
Yeah.
He hid that uncomfortable hunk of metal up his ass.
Yeah.
Oh, wouldn't that be a twist?
Christopher Walken, what are you doing here?
Hey,
Hey.
Terry.
Yeah.
Did you finally decide what you've been up to this week, huh?
I have it. It actually ties perfectly into what Brian's been up to
Is
this
it-
week.
is it One Piece?
It's not One Piece. However, the reason I know so much about One Piece is not because I went through One Piece myself and read the manga or watched the anime, because it's a Herculean task, as I just alluded to. It's because of this YouTuber called Totally Not Mark. And Totally Not Mark does deep dives on all sorts of anime and manga, you know,
Oh.
from like Berserk to to One Piece. And so I watched a couple of it in there. And in that, he's like coming to tears with how much he loves the One Piece anime and how much it surprises him because his diehard thing is my diehard thing, which is, you know, the most important anime there will ever be. That's Dragon Ball Z.
Oh.
He does deep dives on Dragon Ball.
Oh, okay.
Deep dives of like 42 plus minutes about one side character that was in one episode type. So real one of us, right? I'm obsessed with this guy, and
I did not
and all
notice
of his
about
content.
You were such a Dragon Ball guy.
Oh yeah,
I didn't know that either.
yeah.
I always think Mario.
Well, yeah, that's
Mario
the other
Brothers.
He loves
That's
Dragon
the other
Ball.
one.
Mario loves Dragon Ball.
Mario loves Dragon Ball.
Luigi can't.
Where do you
stand
think he got his fireball from? No, no, but actually, it's funny because Sonic the Hedgehog actually ripped off Dragon Ball Z when it comes to turning Super Saiyan or Supersonic. That is a direct rip.
Yeah.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah,
Like he
you
even
just
does
look
it the
at
same
it.
way
Yeah,
his
you
eyes
do
go
the same
green.
thing.
Yeah.
That's
But
fun.
what I've been up to is totally not Mark for the first time reviewed Dragon Ball Z. He's reviewed Dragon Ball. He's reviewed Dragon Ball Super. He's reviewed Dragon Ball GT. He's talked about characters. He's talked about, you know, done these deep dive biographies and all the characters. He's never reviewed Dragon Ball Z itself. And so what he created, what's up, Robert Monroe Jr.? So what he did is he finally released the Dragon Ball Z review. And it is one Saiyan arc, Frieza arc, Cell arc, Boo 1, Boo 2. 5 2.5 hour plus documentary videos on the
That's
entirety of Dragon Ball Z.
awesome.
I watched all of it. And I watched it to the point where I was begging for the last one to come out. I could not
Wow.
wait for him to publish the last thing. Totally not Mark, Dragon Ball Z review.
Okay.
It goes through the Saiyan arc, and then it goes into the Frieza arc, which is incredible the way he does it. The Cell arc, and then Majin Buu he has to split into two because that goes through deaths of major characters, introductions of new characters, and then a whole wrap-up. And what he does at the end is the coolest thing. He reveals he wasn't working on this himself, and all of a sudden, the other 5 biggest content creators on YouTube making Dragon Ball Z content
Aw.
reveal they were involved in the writing of this giant opus.
Oh, that's
script.
cool.
That's
It's
cool.
the
Yeah.
best thing ever.
Oh,
And it just, I care more about documentaries, about things that I like. And I mean deep dives about fictional things, be it video games or be it manga or be it comic characters, than I do the actual stuff, I realize now. And so I was just so excited for him to release it. And it's wonderful. If you're a Dragon Ball Z fan, this is like required reading,
all right.
viewing.
I've watched
Both.
one Dragon Ball. Was it Superhero?
The movie?
Yeah. No, Nolan and I.
It's
went to go
awesome.
see it.
It's awesome, but if you didn't cry, it's because you didn't watch everything
Every
leading up
single
to it.
other-
And not
yeah.
even everything. That movie is the culmination of the idea of, and this is why that the guy who does the deep dive is so cool, is that, you know, to bring it back to our world, everyone says, oh, Goku is Superman, or they're the 2 top tier. That's not true. Superman does what is right because he stands for something. He stands for moral injustice. Goku just wants to fight the strongest person there is
Right.
to keep training and fighting. And it's important because every time a villain comes back, it is Goku's fault because he let him live because he said, I want to fight him again one day. Literally.
Wow.
Literally. So they go into stuff like that. And it's just amazing to me. It's
Okay.
amazing. I don't know where I was going with that point.
That's okay.
I veered off at one point.
It's
do
interesting
that
in
all
and,
the time.
in and of itself.
I got to get that link from you. My buddy
Yes.
Isaiah is a huge Dragon Ball guy.
Yeah.
So I got to get that to him.
Yeah, I mean, just that deep dive is so amazing, and for fans, it's just a bit. Oh, I was going on why it's important because the story, the manga creator got overworked. Akira Toriyama was, you know, doing this all in the 90s. No computers, nothing. He had to hand draw
Yeah,
all of this and keep up to it, and he got tired. And a lot of the things that changed throughout the show, including we're going to switch off of Goku and go on to Gohan the Sun's story.
Oh.
Gohan the Sun's story is that his dad was off fighting other people and wasn't a good dad at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this alien, Piccolo,
Oh yeah.
steps in and essentially becomes his father, but starts out by like chucking him off of a roof.
Yeah.
You better figure it out. Toughen up. Like,
Oh, he's a
that's-
good guy. I thought Piccolo was a bad guy.
He started as a bad guy.
Ah.
But he toughens up, and the conceit of that movie is Piccolo was mad because he thought Gohan stopped training.
Yeah.
the end of the movie, he comes out with this thing where he does a special beam cannon. That's Piccolo's move.
Yeah.
So it's revealed like you were my dad the whole time. I
Ah.
was watching you train, and I was training in secret to be like you.
To be
Oh,
like
that's nice.
Piccolo.
Yes.
Oh, that's sweet.
Because Piccolo's the dad that Goku never
Oh,
was.
nice.
that
It's
is adorable.
awesome.
That's
You know,
great.
Terry, I heard an interesting fact that you probably already know, but a lot of people might not. At one point, Goku levels up. I think when he becomes Super Saiyan, he becomes blonde.
Yes.
The reason that I heard for that is that coloring in his hair black all the time takes a lot more effort than drawing blonde hair, which is just white in a
Yeah,
black
yeah.
and white thing.
That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah.
I love stuff like that.
That's why I watched the documentary, because you see all that stuff of like, I was tired, so I did this. And we're all
Yeah.
like, what?
Yeah.
This was like shaped our childhoods. And
Yeah,
it was
right?
just because you were tired.
Yeah.
That's the reason why Superman flies.
Is it?
To show.
wanna-
Yeah, it was easier to draw.
Oh,
Oh,
interesting.
because you just
Funny.
leave them like that.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's why he's because you remember he could leap an eighth of a mile. And
Yeah, yeah. That's interesting.
They were like, it's just easier if he's flying.
The thing, when I said to show, I got it confused. I think that's at least part of the reason he has a cape, is to show the direction of motion.
Yeah, to show the
Yeah.
when
direction
he
of
was
motion.
jumping
Yeah,
around.
but
Yeah. Oh, how about that? It's so much better, him flying.
Yeah.
It's so much better. Yeah.
My what you've been up to is gonna piggyback off of yours.
Whoa.
I had a whole different thing, but talking about
A double
talking about,
piggyback.
documentaries and deep dives.
Yeah.
I like horror movies, and one of my favorite podcasts I listen to is called The Halloweenies, and so they will do a whole season of episodes where each episode of their podcast is a horror movie in a franchise. So the first time they did Halloween, and they did a 2.5-hour episode for each installation of the Halloween franchise. Wow. And then they took a break and they came back and did Nightmare on Elm Street, Friday the 13th, Child's Play, Scream, etc. And so each one of those is like 2 to 2.5 hours per movie. And I eat them up. I love them.
Longer than the movies.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
good.
for sure.
Yeah.
Is it a YouTube podcast?
No, it's just on like iTunes, and it's just audio. You can also go to their Patreon. I actually am one of their Patreons, because then they'll do other stuff, like when you talk over a movie. What do they call it?
Commentary.
Commentary. They'll do commentary tracks, and they'll do other movies that aren't part of those franchises, stuff like that. They also just did Fortune and Glory, which is their version of a Indiana Jones podcast.
Nice.
So they did all the Indiana Jones movies leading up to
Dial of Destiny.
Dial of Destiny. So yeah,
Nice.
I love those guys. Yeah,
Did they do the young Indiana Jones?
They brought it up
Yeah,
during the episode
Yeah.
from gosh, what was that? The Last Crusade,
Ah, right,
where
right.
we first see young Indiana Jones.
Okay, yeah.
What?
You said it's the Halloweenies?
Halloweenies.
Cool.
Yeah, they're great.
Dylan, if they're on YouTube, let's give them a follow.
Yeah. And Robert Monroe Jr. is in the chat saying, "What's up, Cult Poppers? And missed you guys last night. Thank you." Well, here we are. All right. We have letters.
We have letters?
We got lots and lots and lots and lots of letters. All right. Phineas Flynn writes in, "Worst name ever? I've been listening to you guys for a while and finally decided to write in. While we have some great names, great character names like Clark Kent, Johns, Peter Parker, Bruce Banner, and Guy Gardner, and even some non-alliterative ones like Bruce Wayne and the like, I am mighty concerned about the new Punisher, Joe Garrison. That name is so corny. A military guy named Garrison? That would have been like calling Hal Jordan Hal McFly, or Batman Vinny Gantz. Vengeance, basically. It reminds me of a Carmen Sandiego villain or someone from the cartoon show Cops. How's that for a throwback?
There was a cartoon of that show?
Yes, dude.
Cops?
was on.
No,
Big
no,
no.
not Cops. There was a cartoon called Cops where they were
Okay.
like police officers with like superpowers
Yeah,
and bionic
cybernetic
bits.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't a.
It wasn't like, oh, we're going to expand the universe.
What you want?
Is it the worst comic book character name you can think of? If not, what's worse? PF.
All right, I got two for you.
Do it.
Number one, Black Bolt from the Inhumans, whose real name is Blackagar Boltagon.
My all-time favorite.
That is
See,
his
I like
real.
that.
That's the name he was born with, and it just, like we said, it was just kind of convenient that, oh, okay, we're gonna dress you in all black and put a big bolt.
Well,
thing
when he
on
met the
your head
Fantastic
instead
Four,
of
and he was
two.
like, wait a second. There's the words
on.
black and bolt in your language? This works great.
Awesome.
Doesn't have anything to do with my powers, but
The other one is,
Yeah.
and they did this a lot in the Silver Age. Like a lot of people had those names that sort of worked with their whatever their power was.
Yeah.
But the all-time greatest is the Flash Rogue Rainbow Raider, whose real name is Roy G. Bivolo.
Yeah.
Explain that to the people who don't know what that means.
All right, so Roy G. Biv, the colors of the rainbow: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Roy G. Biv. Hello.
Well, he said hello a
I
lot.
said,
Yeah.
"Are you
Hello.
serious?" And I was a kid. I'm reading I knew who the character was, but I thank God for who's who. You find out all this information about it, right? And I'm reading it. I was like, "No, that's not what that says. There's no way that's what that says. No. That's his name, Roy G. Bivolo, ladies and gentlemen, the Rainbow Raider. Worst name in comics.
This is
a good
the
one.
kind of world where,
pretty rough.
like, why don't you name your kid Dick Millionaire?
Yeah.
You know?
But oddly enough, just for Len, I was gonna say Richie Rich.
Oh, Richie Rich.
Yeah, Richie Rich is a pretty
But-
bad name.
What does
See,
he
but
do?
his
He's
parents,
rich.
his parents knew that he would be rich, and they were really into that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
old money. So.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
They
They're old money.
changed their names
Yeah.
a couple
That'd be
generations
awesome
back.
if Richie Rich's
Yeah.
mom was named Old Money.
Yeah.
Or grandma.
Oh, that'd be great. I like
Meredith
Mom.
Old Money.
Maybe they just cracked that code. They were like, if we
d-
name our son Richie Rich,
We'll be rich.
yeah,
Is that why I'm poor?
yeah, yeah. JD means poor in another language.
We have another letter, but this one's from co-host
I was
Noel.
also going to say Tempest Fuginaut is a dumb name.
Oh, yeah. Is that his actual name?
Tempest Fuginaut?
Yeah, I guess you're
Yeah,
right. It is.
and he's
You're
a
right.
Fuginaut. But I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be Fudginaut because they're fudging it,
Oh,
as in when they change continuity in DC,
Oh, that's interesting.
they're fudging it.
There is also Temple Fugit, the Clock King.
Yes, that is
Remember that?
his name.
Good one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
his
yeah.
name is Temple Fugit.
Temple Fugit, which I think was also the name of some time traveler or something similar in the Lois and Clark, the New Adventures of Superman. Victor Freeze,
wow.
Another
yeah,
one,
Yeah,
yeah.
right?
that's a bad one. That's
Chip,
a bad one.
the Green Lantern, Chip,
Yes.
who looks like an
Chip.
Earth chipmunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But that's pretty
what else
on
we got?
brand.
Yeah.
I do like
Yeah.
on brand naming as well. Though.
Yeah.
All right, so Noel wrote in because he can't be here. He is sick, but he's going to be chiming in with what we're going to be talking about today, which is our summer wrap-up. So summer 2023 roundup. I guess I can contribute a little, but only via this email, as my throat is still a mess and coughing is how I breathe now.
Oh dear God.
So we'll remember to dip back into him as we discuss.
Dip in.
Our main review discussion. That's what it's called. It's a
Yeah.
discussion.
Yeah.
Schools in for winter. Right?
Wow.
That's how the song goes. Summer was a blast, but it's
Less
over now.
popular song.
And it's time for pumpkin spice lattes, hoodies, and other cozy ass stuff. But before the final leaves fall, let's take a quick look back at our favorite summertime stuff. Who wants to kick us off, Brian?
I want to kick us off,
I thought you were
JD.
just okay.
No, you tossed it to me, and I
Yeah.
chose myself.
All right, go.
What are we starting off with? Reading material?
Oh, let's see. Noel started off with movies. Let's do
Well,
movies.
let's start off with movies. I got to go with
All right,
Barbie.
see ya. Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
But Barbie and I are leaving. But it was a tough call, and I'm really hoping Randy picks the other one that I was going to go with, and I think he might.
Oppenheimer? No.
No. I'll just mention two.
I
JD
know
loves
what
it
you're
when I do that.
Oh, yeah, it's the best.
Barbie. I loved
Oh.
Barbie. What a philosophical exploration of a film. We reviewed it here. We both loved it, but I loved the kind of platonic ideals that it starts off with, even though it's not a big part of the movie, the exploration and examination of the role of a slighted gender, right? Now, in Barbie's world, the men are more than oppressed, but just by the nature of existence,
Right.
right? It's not like something the Barbies are doing. They only exist in the light of Barbie's vision. You know what I mean? And so Barbie leaves. She comes out to our world. I love that they all think that feminism has fixed the problems
Yeah, yeah.
of gender inequality here. And they find out it's reversed here. Go through a series of adventures. They explore there's a lot of in-jokes, most of which I didn't get, I assume, but I could tell that it was a joke, and
Yeah.
it was cool, you know. Michael Cera was great.
He was
as
great,
Alan.
yeah.
He's great always. Margot Robbie embodies Barbie. She was amazing. Something we didn't bring up in our review that I really regretted afterwards, the opening song. But it was amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know it was going to be a musical at all, and they start off with this song, and it was great. And just what a cool, thought-inspiring film. That very abstract, cerebral thing from this toy, and a very layered examination of the pluses and minuses of Barbie in our culture.
Yeah, I was surprised by all of that.
Yeah, really cool.
Did you guys see it?
I did not get a chance to see it.
I didn't
was
either.
good.
I do find it hysterical that like when you talk about like movies about toys, like the boys' toys movies were just like, hey, look, stuff blows up.
Yeah.
And Barbie's like this deep treatise on American society and whatnot.
Yeah.
Like you're not gonna get a whole lot of depth out of the Transformers.
Yeah.
God no. But you know, it's fascinating that you know you're gonna get the deepest dive out of into American culture from Barbie.
Yeah.
That was definitely a surprise.
Yeah.
Noel says, movies. I have to say that between the months of May and September, there were a lot of flicks I loved. The ones that made me feel the most warm and fuzzy is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Good movie.
I've loved those characters and the comic that preceded them so much that one last cathartic ride with them was so very welcome. As always, banger soundtrack as well. Across the Spider-Verse was a stronger movie, but if we're talking subjectivity, I just like spending time with Rocket on the big screen more.
Now, Across the Spider-Verse was the one that was a competitor for me that I really figured Randy would bring up.
That's the one I'm going to bring up.
Oh, great.
My favorite movie of the summer was Across the Spider-Verse.
Oh,
That
fantastic.
was just a bucket of fun. I absolutely
so damn good,
right. We reviewed it. What did you take it away? Tell us about it,
bro. I watched it. I was like, what? Oh God! Like I wanted to sit there and watch it again. I could have, if I didn't have something to do, I could have just been like, all right, I'm just going to just chill and watch this again. It was so good, and every little beat hit. Every moment of that thing hit. Daniel Kaluuya as Hobby is the greatest thing in history. And half the time you could barely hear what he was saying. He was in the background like,
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm not even convinced he was saying words every line.
man. But he was just throwing little bits in it.
Yeah.
And when they're in the thing with all the Spider-Man, just all the little stuff in the background, you're like, oh, that guy? That guy?
Yeah.
Oh, wait, that guy? Really? Okay, fine. Yeah. What's his name? Donald Glover?
That was
Yes.
awesome.
Yes.
I love
Come
that.
on with this movie.
Yeah.
That's a good cameo.
Everything
Love that.
about the movie was just amazing. The way the colors of the different universes and everything, like Gwen's universe just being so sort of pinkish and bluish, and oh man, the whole thing. It just came out on Amazon. I have no money. I bought it on Amazon. I had
Nice.
to. I was like, no,
Gotta.
I'm gonna watch this whenever the hell I want. This
Yeah.
thing is amazing.
I'm gonna get it on hard copy. I have to buy an
thing
actual
is
version
so
of it.
good.
That was definitely one of those where, I didn't know it continued in another movie. And we're getting to the end, but I didn't know for sure that it was the end. But, I can kind of feel like
It's wrapping
coming,
up,
right?
yeah.
And I was like, wait, hang on a second. Like the Seinfeld routine when he's talking about second two-parters in a show. Like, they can't wrap this up. They can't, this can't be done. Well, how are they? And then to be continued. And I think that's probably the best example of that in cinema that I have ever seen, where it's like,
Really?
oh, there's more coming after this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
Really?
Yeah.
Well, now I'm not
That's
gonna.
a big statement.
I might not be including all of the things that you're thinking of, right? Like
Movies?
Yeah.
Also, we've established that Brian has seen like maybe 10 movies in his entire lifetime.
Well,
So-
there aren't that many movies that don't finish their story at
Right,
all,
yeah,
right?
there's,
Like,
like-
so I'm not going to count like
The only other to be continued I can actually remember is Matrix 2. Matrix
Empire Strikes
Reloaded.
Back, dude.
That's
What?
not a to be continued.
See,
It's obviously a to be continued.
No, it's the Empire
obviously
is a to be
continued.
And as is Back to the Future.
oh,
Shit, you're right, Back
I
to the
forgot about Back to
Future.
the Future.
Oh, that was
and
good.
that, and,
Oh,
that,
that's
and
a-
honestly,
yeah.
those two is why I was like, red flag.
I was so
not-
hyped.
okay.
I was so hyped at the end of
Yeah.
Back to the Future
And,
2.
and here's the only
That was
reason
so good.
why. Here's the only reason why. I kind of wish that movie did wrap up. Or at the very least, hit us with part 1 in the title.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
I think
yeah.
a lot of people were pissed.
can see
Because, and shame on them. But at the same time, as soon as we were in that world, and he mentions the dreads, I'm like, fuck, the movie's about to end.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, for that being touted as a big reveal, it wasn't a big reveal. It's a great logical step. I like it, but it didn't need to be treated like the mystery that it was. It's like, guys, we clocked this a long time ago. I think that's a great. I actually take issue. I take issue with that movie. Small issue. You got to cut the first 15 minutes out.
The Gwen stuff?
What happened?
Yep, it
Oh, I
can't
love
go.
the Gwen stuff.
It can't go first because all I was afraid of leading up to this movie, and all a lot of us were afraid of. I remember talking a lot about this. Is do not pull Miles out of the driver's seat. If we are pulling and that whole first 15 minutes, I'm like, they're pulling Miles out of the driver's seat. I came here to see the Miles Morales movie. I got it. But all I'm saying is, give me that first, like, come right in. Let me see Miles goofing around right away. And then I'm like, all right, I'm in. But during that whole time, I'm grabbing the sides of the seat. I'm like, I signed up for a Miles Morales movie. Come on. And, of course, we get to it. And then at the end, I just feel like maybe due to length, maybe due to bloat, that ending felt a little stuck on. It kind of felt like they probably could have wrapped another story and then done something with that.
As an
but
epilogue.
But we didn't really get an act 3. You know, we could have figured out something with the Oscar Isaac, Spider-Man 2099.
Yeah.
I think maybe that could have even had a potential resolution, or there could have been just something else. I felt like we ended on a weird note. I'm not going to say the wrong note. I'm not going to say a bad note.
Yeah.
I feel like we ended on a weird note when there's all this other stuff that we're worried about. I like the idea that we're racing the clock to see if Dad's going to be okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I never got to ask you guys. Do you guys think that they're doing a hybrid of where this version of Spider-Man 2099 is Morlun? The vampire?
I don't think so.
Why did they show him with vampire teeth?
He has I think sometimes Miguel O'Hara has.
I've
Sure.
never seen that in
Incisors,
any
right?
media.
I thought that was weird too. I was like, oh, is he
Yeah.
a vampire?
I think he's one of them because that's
That's
Spider-Verse.
interesting.
That would be
Right.
interesting.
That would be, especially if he's not the only Miguel O'Hara that we see, and the other one's not a bad dude.
For anyone who doesn't know, the original Spider-Verse comic book actually involved the villains called Morlun, and there's a whole family of them, which are basically vampires who go after totem characters like Spider-Man. And they've actually, the whole story is them going through the multiverse and murdering all of the spider people as he goes.
And
So-
what was Miguel O'Hara about to try to do? He's going to try and kill Miles and extinguish him from the multiverse.
Oh, I don't think he was going to kill Miles.
Sure as hell looked like it.
No,
he had to
no,
stop him from saving his
he
dad.
was right. He was trying to stop him from saving his dad.
By any means
Yeah.
necessary.
Well, maybe.
Maybe, but that's just a thought that I definitely wanted to throw out to you guys.
I don't think so, but that would be neat.
No, I would
A
say
neat twist.
because of what you were saying of how it didn't wrap everything up. That's why I was counting it in a class separate from, say, Empire Strikes Back, which is a more complete movie on its own. Or even Back to the Future 1 that ends with a tease for 2.
Yeah.
I would say those aren't in the same category,
Empire Strikes Back wrapped up nothing.
Nah,
Didn't it?
that's the end of
You
it.
had Han Solo frozen just off into the into the universe.
a good
Luke
point.
with one hand, like no, that when I
right.
got to the end of Empire Strikes Back, I was like, oh my god,
Yeah.
how
All right.
no. How
Brian
dare
was
you.
like, Han Solo's in Carbonite? All right.
Good riddance. I was like, there we go. That guy probably dies.
Wait, quick side note. When I came in here, before you guys got here, Dylan was saying he loved how the Avengers movies ended. And I'm like, yeah, with the wrapping, he's saying, like, no, when they all got snapped away. He never saw Endgame. He thought Infinity War was the end.
Oh, yeah, no, Dylan, that is the end.
It
There's
was,
no
it was
other
a nice
movies.
change of pace. It can always be a happy ending. I was
Yeah.
like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, half the
Everyone
people
just got
died
dusted.
in a
Cool.
blink of an eye.
You know what,
Cool.
though?
I've never seen that ending before.
Wow.
Word. I thought it was original.
Yeah, no, you don't have to see Endgame. It doesn't really tie into it.
Do they come back to life?
Some of them.
That's stupid. That's stupid.
That's stupid.
But you know what? That brings up a good point. I totally forgot about that one too.
Yeah.
So sometimes I get ahead of myself. Across the Spider-Verse is really good.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not the best.
I agree with you in that people ask me like, oh, isn't that like the best one? Across the Spider-Verse is even better than Into the Spider-Verse. And I was like, no, because it's not a complete movie.
I agree.
I can't just plop down, watch it, and then be done. I got to sit down, watch it, and then when the other one comes out, watch the other one. So, do we know what that's called?
Part 2.
Is it just Across the Spider-Verse Part 2?
No, I thought
I'm
the
almost
name had come
positive
out.
it
I
is.
forget what it is.
But yeah, I don't consider it a complete film. So for now, Into the Spider-Verse is still the superior film because it's complete. Jeremy Stu Kane's in the chat going, that was the only issue I had with the movie, for lack of a better term. I felt a little blue-balled. And he says, hard agree. I have a lot of respect for movies that actually kill beloved characters.
Hey, Dylan.
If you just stop some movies partway through, things are really bad,
Yeah,
and then you
I
can just end
watched
there.
the first 5 minutes of Bambi, and then I'm done.
Yeah. Well, that's the meat of it, really.
You're up.
I don't believe in Act 3.
You know what? It was gonna be. I really loved Indiana Jones and Dial of Destiny. I loved the hell out of that movie. And then I watched Ninja Turtles.
Oh, it's a good movie.
Yo,
Also-
that Turtles joint was so butter.
Yeah.
First of all, they got me with the soundtrack to that thing. It was just all bangers. Like, I really hope that MOP is getting paid, because between Ninja Turtles, the NFL, and I think it was also may have wound up in Transformers: Rise of the Beast. Annie Up is everywhere, so I'm hoping they're getting some bread for that. Rise of the Beast. Not a terrible movie.
No,
Not
Ridiculous
terrible.
movie.
I liked it. Yeah.
I did.
It's fine.
I am astounded how in the span of these movies, Optimus Prime has gone from like, we have to take care of the humans, to, you know what, these little bitches. Stand these little.
Spend
punk
enough time
ass-
with these people. It's
Yo,
just like-
To be fair,
I was
this was a prequel.
I was watching that, like, your man was like, you know what, you can kiss my ass. Kiss my robot ass. These humans, fuck them all. I was like, bro. No, but Turtles, man. And I went to see Turtles with my kids. I wanted to go see Blue Beetle, which I didn't get a chance to see. I feel
that's
really
good.
bad
Oh, it's
for
good.
it.
It's really good.
Not as good as
But I
Turtles.
went to see Turtles, and I'm watching this thing like, yo, this thing is so dope. Like, they actually felt like teenagers. Like, their whole vibe was very teenager. I loved April to death. She was adorable. Just everything about that movie was so much fun. Ice Cube as the fly, like the whole,
Superfly.
Superfly.
Yeah, man, he
Yo,
was
man,
awesome.
that whole movie, and just so like watching the car chase and all that, just the way everything was moving. That thing was so damn good, and I was not expecting it. You know, you've done Turtles, what, 15 times in the last 30 years? Like, all right, more Turtles. Yo, this thing was amazing.
Yeah. And I liked that it made choices that I didn't expect.
Yeah,
With,
yeah,
with the
all.
mutants.
yeah,
Yeah,
all that
everything.
stuff
That
with the
was cool.
mutants.
Yeah.
You know, it's actually really similar. I've seen a trend that I think is a really positive reflection of social views, right? That you've got Captain Marvel, to a not as good quality extent of the Eternals, and this that takes characters who have been established as the villain in previous iterations
Yeah.
are not the villain, right? You're like, oh, they're not bad just because they're the mutants or
Yeah.
they're the Skrulls or whatever. And it's a cool trend, you know? It's
Yeah, I like
good. Yeah.
Terry.
I'll just comment on that. Ninja Turtles 2. I mean, that is kind of. Everyone loves the movie in the 90s. I mean, when we did our poll, did that win?
No.
It got
Scott,
way up there.
Scott
Yeah, it
Pilgrim
was-
won, I believe.
Oh, it's Scott
Pilgrim.
Pilgrim.
Oh,
You're right.
right,
You're right.
Yeah.
But so that first movie, Peter Laird and who's the other guy?
Eastman.
Scott Eastman.
Eastman,
Or
Eastman
Scott?
are involved.
Kevin.
Kevin Eastman are involved in the making of that movie.
Yeah.
They are involved in the script. The script is dark. It is perfectly in tone with the original comic book that they wrote. Then New Line Cinema creates 2. The boys aren't involved anymore.
Yeah.
A different group takes over. I think they also switched from Jim Henson to another even puppet company because Jim
did they?
Henson did
Oh,
the
really?
original.
And all of a sudden they're fighting with like sausage links and stuff like
Yes,
that.
and then the third, and then the cartoon, and then we're moving farther and farther away, and then they have TMNT, which is kind of like the reboot. I think was the first reboot in like the early to
That was
late
2014.
2000s.
That was a good one.
Then there was the TMNT series, and again we're getting kind of serious about it again. And in the middle of that is when the Michael Bay stuff comes in. Now, Michael Bay is not a fan of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm willing to bet.
Oh, okay.
I'm willing to bet he didn't grow up. So we entered a weird period with the Turtles for a long time until Seth Rogen picks it up, who is a fan
Obviously a
of
fan.
the comic
Yeah.
and the
Yeah,
original
yeah.
and the original movie. So my point is, this is an obvious thing. Give it to the biggest fan of the thing that you're trying to recreate.
Yeah.
You know, don't give it to just who's hot. Give it to the
To be
person.
fair-
He's pretty hot too.
To be fair, the guy who made Daredevil was a really big fan. The
So-
Daredevil movie?
The Ben Affleck one.
Yeah.
Who made who?
The director was a huge fan. And also Ben Affleck was a huge
Was he?
fan. Yeah.
Well, you never
yes.
know though.
Oh, yes.
You never
Doesn't
know
seem like it.
what was changed between his vision and
true.
what we saw.
And you know what?
And the Daredevil.
Let's be
director's
fair
cut
about
was
that,
not
too.
the worst thing in the world.
It was. I mean, I actually like the
Yeah, the
Daredevil
Daredevil
movie,
was
but
kinda
it's
cool.
bad. But I understand it's not good.
But
I
let's be fair about that. And the actor and the director, like in this case, this is the producer. This is the whole production company. It is Seth Rogen's production company. So you got to have a fan at the top of anything.
Yeah.
Which is why my movie worked so well, the Super Mario Brothers movie, which made all the money and made everybody happy and brought children, real children, back into a movie theater. Not teens, not weird adults going to see kid movies. I mean, actual children.
was
you
me.
did see it.
I was the weird adult.
Of course. But the reason I loved it so much is you have kids walking out singing songs from the movie, saying "It's a Me," doing everything. Like, I haven't seen children excited about a movie ever. Like, not like this. And it meant something. And the reason that they were able to create a thing goes in line with what I was just saying. The guy who made Mario was sitting next to the director when they made this movie of Mario wouldn't do that. You can't do this.
Really?
It's got to be about the Mario brothers. You don't backdoor a Peach movie, which they originally, that was the original pitch.
Oh.
And Miyamoto and Nintendo said, you're not going to make a dime. And instead they made all the money in the world by sticking to the thing. It's two brothers. So check.
Yeah.
Saving Brooklyn. Check. Beating Bowser. Check. Done.
Also Seth Rogen.
Also,
Right? Wasn't he involved in some?
He
That's
was.
what I meant.
Oh,
Not
he's
that
Donkey
did it,
Kong.
but-
He was Donkey
yeah,
Kong.
well, okay, so it's just Seth Rogen then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that movie. I love that movie because of there's more reasons than I can count. But most importantly, it is a movie with an actual friggin' message for children that is don't give up. Mario never gives up. Don't give up. That's what I want young people to hear, and they're cheering and excited about it. The other thing I want is as long as nothing can hurt us, as long as we're together. Stay with your family, take care of your brother, take care of your friends, and you will be fine. It is the first movie I've seen in decades that the message is just easy to swallow for kids. Don't give up, beat the monster, and don't abandon your friends and family. That we need that in all adult movies too. Like
Facts, though.
it's so important. It's just it nailed its messaging, and all the Easter eggs in there are great.
Same thing
I'm a
in
huge Mario
Transformers:
fan.
Rise of the Beast. They didn't give up. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. See, that's the thing about the
most movies.
Autobots. But it was just a wonderful message, and there's nothing in there that doesn't feel like it should be in there for the demographic it's for, which is people who love Nintendo and people who love classic stories of, all right, I'm going to do whatever it takes to, beat the bad guy because it's the right thing to do. So that's why I am so happy that kids loved this movie. I was just looking up the numbers. Barbie did beat it by
Oh, really?
by a couple million. But those two were neck and neck at like 1.4 or 1.4 billion, excuse me, and 1.39 billion. So they were neck and neck. But
They both did pretty well.
think about that. Think about that. That is two beloved things from two different demographics, right? That was the little boy's favorite thing and the little girl's favorite thing, and they both crushed with both markets.
Yeah.
But the thing I love about it is there's finally something that kids are obsessed with, going back to see 5, 6, 7 times. Made more money for theater owners than anybody else because kids buy popcorn. Sorry, Barbie. Didn't do as well in the concessions.
Oh,
But as
okay.
kids' concessions, that went through the roof because it was a family kid movie.
That is where
That was
theaters make
designed
most
well.
of their money.
Yeah.
Is that? Yeah.
Well, that's why literally theater owners said like Mario saved
Oh, really?
the movies. Like
Yeah.
as much as Top Gun says it did, Mario, kids came in. Kids were exposed. I want to go to the movies.
You know what the markup on popcorn is? At least from my time working at the theater, what I heard?
What?
800%.
Yeah. I think that's
Popcorn doesn't cost a lot to make,
No, it
and
does
they
not.
sell
It
it for
does not.
$1,000 a bucket. So
and they hire people like you and me to make it.
Yeah.
So, I was cheap when I was 16. Anyway,
Yeah, you're still cheap.
that was the movie. I want more good, positive things with nothing else. Just do what's right and stick by your people.
Terry, did you happen to catch the show last week? Because in our initial review, JD was not a fan.
I wasn't.
But-
I walked out kind of bummed about it. And last week I actually apologized to the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, as my what you've been up to this week.
Uh,
And Jeremy
didn't
says,
see
and
that
I'll
part.
buy that bucket every time.
Excellent.
Same.
Nice.
Excellent.
Same.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I just want that yellow butter flavoring.
Oh, I
Butter.
Here's the thing. This always got me. They don't call it butter flavored topping. It's not even close enough to butter to call it that. It's buttery flavored.
Buttery.
Whoa!
Yes.
Nice.
It's so far removed from butter. Butter cannot be in the name. Yeah.
Amazing.
Butter-esque.
Yeah.
Hint de butter.
Now, Terry, you said they sang songs, and I really hope that they were set to the tune of like, let's
you not see
go
the movie?
into. No, I didn't.
Oh my God!
I didn't see it.
It's
You're
delightful.
why we lost to Barbie. No, I'm actually. Actually,
liked
I'm
Barbie.
thrilled that both won. I'm thrilled that
Yeah.
those were the top
Yeah,
two,
yeah.
and number 3 is Oppenheimer, which is like, all right, let's go, smart people.
I have to leave to pick up my son.
Do you?
Okay.
Yeah, do you guys want to keep going?
Absolutely.
I'm just going to
Sure.
peace out.
Was there another piece?
Behind-
JD,
that
give us a
Noel
real
wanted us
quick.
to do?
Yeah. So shows.
Yeah.
Noel says for the show section, I have to say I've fallen deep into the MLB this summer, so
That's
scripted
right.
TV was a little more
Phils.
sparse. But the show that we binged hard in my house was
Titans.
one that has been out for years now,
Titans.
Midnight Mass on Netflix.
Oh, that was great.
Can a show be a thrill ride and a slow as hell burn at the same time?
I guess.
I thought no, but then I saw Midnight Mass and was convinced otherwise.
Brilliant.
Love that. Love that
assessment,
show.
Noel.
Love that show.
And JD,
What a great way to
maybe
see
we can't talk about them because you got to go, but I want to hear what what were your other entries for the other categories.
Cousin,
Yeah.
I'll tell
Oh
you,
God.
The Bear.
Okay.
We just caught up
Easily.
on The Bear.
Cool.
God damn, that show is awesome. We watched the first couple episodes and we were like, man, that is a stressful show. I don't want to watch that right now. So my wife went off and we watched other things. And then when she wasn't around, I was like, you know what? Everyone says it's so good. Let me go check it out. And so I checked out The Bear. I watched all of season 1 in like 2 days. And then season 2, Sushan started seeing me watch it, and then she would like sit down and watch it.
Oh, she came back to the marriage.
She came back.
You said she went off.
She did. And
Like,
she came
she's
back.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys are okay?
So we're okay now. Yeah. We're back together. But man,
How
that-
much
and
of your relationship is dictated by your TV preferences?
all of it.
Yeah.
Season 2 is even better than season 1. So now we're going back and rewatching season 1 because she hasn't seen it yet.
Ah.
So, which I always like to do after I caught up with a show I really like. I'll just go and watch the first episode because now I've not got new context for who these characters are and what's happening in that first episode. So, man, if you're not watching The Bear, highly recommend it. It is
Nice.
awesome. I
Nice.
love it. Yeah, that's mine.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Terry agrees with me?
I absolutely. The Bear is wonderful, and also, we can appreciate this entrepreneur story.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get locked in a room and you can't do shit, and you have to rely on, the people that are they ready?
Yeah.
You don't know if they're ready until this moment where you're not allowed to interfere.
Yeah.
And that is one of the most stressful things, and I think they captured it perfectly. Also, Super Mario Brothers movie was about being an entrepreneur. His dad didn't believe in him.
Oh, that's
It's
right.
all about it.
That's right.
I don't
Yeah.
believe in your stupid plumbing business.
And he gets all those coins.
And he gets all
many coins.
which is like any parent. Once you're successful, I believe in you.
I
Yeah,
believe
yeah.
in you.
Yeah, you
I
did
believed in
great.
you the whole time. What are you talking about?
The Bear is wonderful, wonderful. There's a whole other podcast that I do called Listen You Jerk, where we did a
Yeah.
deep dive on the bear.
Oh, I got to check that out. It's all yours, Brian.
All right.
Take it away.
Here we go. I'm taking it away. While you go away.
Yeah, I'm going to
All right.
get the fuck out.
So, what do we got? What's up next? Let's
Well,
do.
we're talking about
What are you doing?
shows.
Shows.
You want to do
Noel
shows?
said Midnight Mass. Did you
Okay.
see that?
No. I think I saw that it existed, but I might be thinking of the Midnight Club, which I think is also a show.
Or maybe
Same
it was
dude.
Midnight
Oh, is it?
Marauders.
That's the same
Yeah.
showrunner.
Midnight Suns. Could be any of those.
Mike Flanagan.
Oh, really?
It is?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll watch the Midnight Club. I didn't
and
watch the Midnight
Mass.
Club.
Midnight Club is more of a YA kind of book. It's based on Christopher Pike novels, I believe.
Oh.
But it stars
Christopher Pike, the Captain of the USS Enterprise?
Yes, that guy. Yeah.
He wrote it in his spare time.
Well, it's funny you should say that because Strange New Worlds actually is the TV show that I was going to talk about.
Oh,
Yeah,
dude.
Yeah.
lead in.
Oh, man. Nicely done.
Thank you
Nicely
very
done.
much. And man, I love that show.
Oh, my God. That
It's
show's
so good. Now I love all the new Star Trek, right? Discovery's amazing. Lower Decks is hilarious
Lower Decks
and
is
still
very
very
funny.
Trek. Picard, especially season 3, was really good. But Strange New Worlds is Star Trek classic style,
very
just what
much.
I'm looking for. You
so
know,
very much
Yeah.
like, and the thing I'm only about halfway through season 1. But the thing I love about Pike is because he knows, like, you know, his whole future. Your man's like, fuck it,
Right.
let's do it.
like
What-
this sucks. What I'm
I know what's
headed
gonna happen to me. The rest
Yeah.
of you, no idea.
Yeah.
But here we go. Fuck it, let's go.
Which I also thought was a masterstroke in storytelling, right? One, to do it at all, because Christopher Pike, for anyone who doesn't know, there was an original pilot to the original Star Trek series where they had a captain instead of Kirk, who was named Captain Pike. And the network didn't like it. They redid it. We got Kirk and Spock and everybody, but they used footage from that later on with a different actor, and a horrible accident has happened to him, and Spock risks it all to help him out. So you've got this character who is incredibly storied, legendary character with very little about him,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So he's got
nothing.
all this gravitas with an open playing field, basically, right? So you can make him whoever you want. And I love that they chose to use him, and I also love that he knows about it, right?
Yeah.
Because we know what's
he
coming.
knows.
And so having him know what the audience knows, there's some time crystal stuff that happens, so
Help me
he's
out with that.
aware.
So I haven't seen the show. I am
Okay.
aware of the genesis of Captain Pike.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what was that point you were just making?
So
I'm a little confused. He
which,
knows
about-
that he's
yeah.
going to be in an accident?
So he shows up in Discovery, and they weren't, I don't think, planning on having him have a show.
No, I don't think so.
But
he was just
it
so
was
good.
awesome. Yeah.
Anson Mount as Christopher Pike is great.
Who also played Black and Cloud Multigun.
Yeah. The hair is just
Yes.
perfectly great
yes.
hair.
And he plays such a great captain. I'll explain it in a second, sorry, but he plays such a great captain, solid Star Trek captain of a modern era where he's the best of the best. He's got feelings too. He's such a good guy, always does the right thing kind of guy, like a Star Trek captain should be. And so what happens is he comes into Discovery, and as part of the story of season 2 of Discovery, he is given knowledge that a potential future of his is that he will, in trying to save a bunch of cadets, be exposed to a horrible radiation that will leave him basically incapacitated, except for the chair where he can make beeps, to communicate. And that's where we find him in the original series. And then it's a potential future, but he needs to solidify it to become the actual future as part of the events, like to do the right thing in Discovery, right? So he makes that choice. He has chosen to walk the path that he knows will end in he's going to save these kids, but he's going to be, experience this tragedy for himself. So he's got this weight on him throughout season 1 of, I did the right thing, but I know this is coming. And like Randy said, nothing's going to happen to me until then.
Yeah, right. So
But-
fuck it.
Right.
Your man is just like,
Yeah. Like it opens with him questioning whether he wants to be in Starfleet or not, and you see another real deep cut. Captain April, who is now Admiral Robert April, who was only I think he shows up once in the animated series or something.
maybe.
And he's like a cool mentor. You don't see that much of him, but he's the guy who's like the contact point with Starfleet, and he comes to him and he's like, Chris, we want you to get back out there. And he decides to do so. And season 1 is a lot of him just working out what, how can he come to terms with this, knowing that he's on this road. But one of the great things about it is, unlike a lot of other modern shows, that's not all of what season 1 is.
No.
It's
God, no.
individual stories.
About everybody on the crew.
Oh, and the guy who plays Spock is...
Oh, my God. So good.
Gregory Peck's grandson.
Is that who
Yes,
that is?
Ethan Peck is Gregory Peck's grandson.
Oh, Little
Yeah,
Peck? Nice.
yeah, that's what they called him.
Little Peck.
Peck.
Nice.
He hated it.
Nice.
And The whole cast is great. Rebecca Romijn is number one.
Yeah.
You've actually got two characters who really should look exactly the same because they were both played by Majel Barrett Roddenberry.
Yes.
She originally played number one, who in the earlier version was the cold, logical character that Spock becomes in the eventual version, and she also played Nurse Chapel in the original series.
Oh,
right?
interesting.
Yeah,
So
Nurse
you've got
Chapel's
him.
amazing on the show.
She's so good,
awesome, dude.
She's and they really amplify her role more. You know, they give her a lot more power and agency.
Yeah.
and it's so good. You've got Dr. Mbenga.
Yeah.
Is amazing, and he's this guy who was in the original series too for like 2 or 3 episodes. He's the guy that's head of sickbay when McCoy's away, but he's head of sickbay in this. You know, so he's great. It's so
Uhura's a
well-rooted.
cadet.
What's that?
Yeah,
Really?
Cadet Uhura on
Cadet
this one.
Uhura, right?
Yo, man, they it's a lot of very deep dives on this joint, but they nail it.
And where are we in the timeline?
So we're
before Discovery or in line with Discovery?
directly after those events in Discovery, right?
Okay.
So it's like
Was this,
maybe 6 or 7 years before Kirk takes it, maybe 5 years before Kirk
because-
takes over the
okay,
Enterprise.
so
the other
Discovery is
Kirk is
also
on the
before.
show,
Yes.
right?
Kirk is on the show a couple times.
Yeah.
You see him in an alternate timeline episode that I'm not going to spoil, but
All right,
it's
I do
awesome.
want to see that.
You've also got one of the cool things about it is you have access to our knowledge of the future of Star Trek, right? So they can reference things that don't come up until the movies or the Next
Oh, wow,
Generation
okay,
era
yeah,
or
yeah.
whatever,
Cool.
right?
Yeah.
Like
That's
he
clever.
gets the time crystal on the same planet, Korath, that Worf eventually meets the clone of Kalas.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
All
there's
right.
stuff like that going
Okay.
on, right? And
Yeah, dude.
like nothing of that is made in the show, but as a Star Trek fan, you're like, that's the same place right there. That's the same planet.
Yeah. They're not messing around on Strange
No,
New Worlds.
it's
they
awesome.
are not messing around.
And it's so well nuanced. And they change some stuff. They even address like there's some timeline changes, and they're like, yes, things like change, but things still keep happening. So now in the original series timeline, there was a eugenics wars in the 90s, which you guys may or may not remember having actually happened.
Yeah,
in our night, right?
Yeah.
So, now that's been pushed back a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so it's kind of cool. It's like, oh, this still could be our future.
well,
you know?
yeah. I mean, if you think of time as a river, as a lot of things
Exactly,
do.
exactly. And there's always been a lot of time travel stuff in Star Trek.
Yeah,
So stuff
so-
changes, and there's temporal authorities and what have you. And they really weave telling new stories well with fitting in Star Trek lore, and they're individual stories. It's not a season-long story. It's like there's themes that run throughout, but you've got the one where they go to this planet. You've got the one where this thing happens, and that's cool Star Trek. It's just so good.
Let me ask you a question. I mean, a lot of new Star Trek was not well received. Is it fair to say if
yeah.
you just do original, Next Generation, and this, you will be happy?
I think you'd be happy. I think you'd be happy if you watch all of it.
Yeah.
But,
I think you'd be happy, but I think you're missing so much.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
I
because
don't want to do Discovery. Do I have to?
You don't have to, but it's
it's
really
really
good.
good.
It's really good.
It is?
Yes. Yo, Discovery is that work,
Yes.
dude.
Yes. It's different. It's much darker. It's the first Star Trek. Well, actually, I'm gonna take what I haven't said yet back. I was gonna say it's
Hell of a play you just ran. Hell of a play.
Deep Space Nine was actually the first Star Trek that told a continuing story, and it's one of the first shows of any kind that isn't a soap opera.
Deep Space Nine
that
is
did that.
still my favorite Star
Right?
Trek.
It's a good show.
Still my
man.
favorite.
It's a good show.
That's 7 of 9. Was it
No,
that
that's
one?
Voyager.
No, she was
That's
Voyager.
Voyager.
Deep Space Nine is
Cisco,
and
Dax,
Worf-
O'Brien moves
Worf came
to there.
back on
Worf
there.
comes back eventually.
Who's the captain of that ship?
Cisco.
is
That's
eventually
the
captain.
space station.
Yeah. It's the one on the space station, and he's the emissary. He's like the chosen of the wormhole aliens or prophets, depending
Who
on.
am I thinking of? Who's the guy that was on whatever's Leap?
Oh, that's Enterprise.
That's Enterprise, yeah.
That's what I'm
Quantum
thinking.
Leap,
Yeah, yeah.
and that's a prequel. which they eventually reference a little on Strange New Worlds, which is awesome.
Oh wow!
And,
Okay, yeah, they
in
digging
the,
deep.
yeah, it's cool.
Robert Monroe Jr. wants a Captain Pike cookbook. Yo, your man do be
He
cooking.
cooks. He
do
cooks.
be cooking. Like,
He's got a lot of space on that ship.
yeah.
You
Oh my
know?
God, his quarters are
Yeah.
like. You remember Picard's quarters were just like
yeah.
a regular ass room.
Yeah.
Yo, your man's got a whole floor to himself
Yeah.
on the Enterprise. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, there was a reference to, I saw this meme where, remember the episode where Scotty is on Next Gen?
Yeah.
And they put him in these quarters, and he's like, oh my God. And they're like, well, we can get you bigger quarters if you want. He's like, no, these are so big. They're like a third of the size of Pike's
Yeah,
quarters.
Pike Jones is ridiculous.
But yeah, so DS9 is one of the first shows of any kind, primetime anyway, that did continuing episodes. But that's what I was going to say about Discovery is that it's of the modern style where it's just one story for every season. I think some people didn't like that. Some people didn't like it for racist reasons or sexist reasons. And we can forget about those people's opinion on the matter. And it is dark, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's
yeah,
dark.
Discovery is.
And it's not as, it's definitely not a, we go to a planet and have some moral episode every episode kind of thing. It's,
Discovery
but
it got ugly in a couple of
it did.
episodes. But it was still done.
really good. But if you don't want to watch it, you'll be fine. Lower Decks, I would highly recommend.
That one, yes.
So
for
much
sure.
fun within loving Star Trek, right? It doesn't ever make fun of Star Trek unless it's a way that we would do.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah.
It really does.
There's a crossover coming up.
I heard about that.
Oh, it's so good.
I heard about that.
Yeah.
My band's manager is a huge Lower Decks fan.
Yeah.
And she, I watched the first episode with her.
awesome.
I'm so far behind on it, but I watched the first episode with her. I was like, all right, yeah.
Yeah. They mentioned the Bell Riots from DS9 in the
Yeah,
crossover
dude.
episode, and the two characters in animation, Tony Newsom and Jack Quaid, play their roles in live action on Strange New Worlds.
Wow, that's cool.
And they always do the voice, but they don't do the motions.
Yeah.
Jack Quaid does a really good job. Tony Newsom is that character animated brought to life. Like, she's so good at it. And it's just so much fun. The musical episode is a lot of fun. That's divided fans, but I loved it.
Do I need to do Prodigy?
I liked Prodigy. I don't think you have to. You don't need to do any of it. You know what I mean?
Is
Like,
it? We should look this up. We should look up how
Much Trek
content
is there?
it?
Oh God, So what is
Like,
it?
what's the time? What's the amount of time? Like, even if I watched it at double speed.
It's funny you should say that. I saw an article that I haven't read that says how long would it take you to watch all of Star Trek?
What?
Right? So if I can find it, I'll
How
try
did
to
you
get
have
back
the
to
exact
you.
answer to such a specific question?
Well, I have the fact that somebody has the exact
Somebody
answer.
has the exact
I don't have it. Johnny Destructo, whom you may remember from earlier in the show, asks, does it make sense? He says, does it, I assume he means Strange New Worlds, does it make sense in continuity of the previous shows, or is this a multiverse story? This is in the continuity of the previous shows.
Yeah.
This is, there's a little timeline changes, but it's not the Kelvin universe. It's not a different reality. This is the previous show's timeline. Discovery eventually does reference the Kelvin universe, and you see somebody from the other reality in a hologram, right?
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, because now in our real world, the movie Star Trek rights and the TV Star Trek rights were split up into CBS, Viacom, and Paramount, I think,
yeah.
or something like that. Very weird, where one company was allowed to make movies and the other company could make shows.
Right.
Those companies aren't back together,
Oh.
so they can reference the Kelvin. Yeah, Robert Monroe Jr. says the Bell riots are supposed to take place next September, so that will have to be pushed back in the Trek timeline, hopefully. Yeah, I don't think, although, things do turn out pretty well eventually. After the Bell riots happen. But yeah, it's cool that they did that. I was totally fine with, well, Star Trek is just a different reality, but it's kind of cool that they moved it around a little bit, and now it could still happen here. I mean,
Terry, what's your show?
Boy, what shows are even out? Oh, I know what it is.
What do we got?
It's an anime that I've just kind of started. It's called Baki. If you haven't heard of Baki Hanma, it's a great over-the-top anime that is so fun and so crazy, and it's about this kid's dad is the strongest being there is in the world, and he is so strong, militaries and governments will not interact with him because he can take out planes and crazy stuff. So, it's funny. You mentioned Fast and Furious recently. This is the Fast and the Furious of fighting animes in that it is so far beyond what is reasonable. So
Is he supposed to be just like basically a regular guy who's super strong, but he...
One caveat.
Okay,
He's
yeah.
15.
Okay.
So the
dad?
kid it's about is 15. The dad's like 40 and enormous, but it's about the
Okay.
kid. The title is Baki, son of ogre, and you know
I've
his
heard of that.
father
Okay.
is the ogre. He's this giant guy with red hair and like he can flex his back so it looks like a giant demon's body, but it's literally about
Which is what
muscle
happens
building.
as you get stronger.
Well,
Eventually,
here-
you can do
the
that.
thing about the show is
Yeah.
they take every little thing that you hear about. For example, being able to tap into your adrenaline, and they put this scientific thing around it, and they're like, what's happening now is he's going to try and train to get that adrenaline to come out. So he's just going to jump off a building and at the last second tap into his adrenaline to be able to defeat this. But it's awesome. It's over the top. It's episodic in the fact that it's almost like each fight is an episode. Very tournament style arc. Way over the top though, because eventually it's like the chief of police is having regular conversations with a 15-year-old boy because he's such a good fighter and took on 100 gang members by himself.
Nice.
And it's just way over the top. So there's Netflix. Netflix America did an anime of it. Maybe it was Netflix Japan, but it's a Netflix original anime based on, and it's essentially chapter 3 of 2 previous animes that you can see. You got to like track these down on YouTube and stuff to see kid version, but the current version is just insane and over the top. Watched a couple episodes of the first season. I'll definitely finish it ASAP. But in the first episode, they find a glacier, this scientist does, and in it is a man punching a Tyrannosaurus Rex in the face, trapped in freeze frame. And they're like, well, we got to thaw this out.
Sure.
So they thaw it out. This all happens in like 10 minutes. It's an insane show. So they thaw it out, and they're going to figure out, like, oh, my God, this is the greatest discovery ever. We can prove that men were around at the same time as dinosaurs with these 2 dead bodies. And so there's one...
Do they have to thaw them out to prove
Yes.
that? They're right there.
Yes. So they thaw it out, and then one of the scientists is like a classic anime character of like classic dork. You know, he's got glasses,
Yeah,
he's a
yeah.
scientist, and he's left overnight, and he's like, I've got an idea. I'm so hungry right now. I'm going to be the first person to ever eat a Tyrannosaurus steak. So he goes to the Tyrannosaurus, cuts out a little bit of meat, brings it back, microwaves it.
That's how he chooses to
I
cook
swear to
it.
God, I swear to God.
Yeah.
Microwaves it. The thing goes off. He opens it up, pulls it out, and he digs in. He takes a bite. He's like, "Oh my God, this is the best thing ever." And then it cuts to the caveman waking up after hundreds of thousands of years being frozen, and he's this crazy giant ripped Neanderthal man. And they make a point to have him like jacked, like superhero jacked. That is who Baki has to fight in tournament arc.
Oh my God. All right.
It's
You know what? I'll
insane.
go on that.
You gotta see it.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah, there's Baki and there's Baki Hanma. Baki comes first, and there's 3. This may be the 4th season that's out, but watch it. It's insane. You've never seen anything like this. There's one guy who chooses to live in prison so that he can be a better fighter. But in prison, he has like an office and like luxury suites. He served steaks every day. He just would prefer to be in there to stay hard.
Huh. This seems like a common theme in not just anime, but like anything that is martial arts kind of based, where a goal is I want to go around and find people to fight so that I can get stronger.
Yeah. Most manga, most anime, especially those that are in line with the shonen story, is the idea of progress through struggle. That's the consistent theme. It's just you can't ever give up. Constant progress, and the only way to get to the next level is through struggle. You know, usually through that struggle they unlock a form or something like.
It's interesting.
You know, look at some of Monkey's forms that he unlocks in One Piece. He just did one recently that people are freaking out about. It's called Fifth Gear, and you can see it on YouTube, and it's crazy. It's crazy, and he, you know, the way they almost always get it is like you're just about to die, and then you tap into that next thing.
You know, it's interesting. There's oh, sorry, Randy, what's up?
Interestingly enough, they're doing the same thing on my show for this summer.
Oh, is that right?
Quite obviously, My Adventures with Superman.
Oh, it's so good.
Let me just tell you.
Yes.
I I was looking forward to the show when I just saw the first picture of like the Lois and Jimmy and Clark together like 2 years ago. I was like,
you were looking forward to it when you heard there was a Superman
I was like,
show
oh,
coming out.
new Superman show.
Let's be real.
It's so very different, like origin wise, from a lot of the Superman stuff, which I'm okay with. You know what? Like, you can bounce stuff around and cool. I don't mind that. Go crazy. The idea that Lois figures out that Clark is Superman in like the first 3 episodes.
That's great.
Cool.
Yes.
Fine.
Yeah.
Good.
Yep.
It's a little bit more. It's a little bit more interesting that way. They're all now. They can all team up and do it together. Jimmy had it already figured out before the first episode. He was like, "Yeah, our alarm clocks kept exploding. Like, why? Just little stuff like that."
Right.
But the thing you're saying about like, right as they're about to lose or something, they level up. He's been doing that like every couple of episodes, and like so a new power will show up, or like the first episode, the robots were they were free and they were about to kill Lois. It's never about Jimmy though. It's never like they're about to kill Jimmy. I got a power. Whenever Lois is in trouble though, your man's like, oh no, and it was funny because he's fighting the robots earlier, and then he powers up and he just punches this robot, and then you don't see it anymore. He just sort of punches it and it just away, slapping stuff. So I'm enjoying the show a lot.
Yeah,
there's a couple of little things that I'm like, nah, but overall it's a lot of fun.
What are your nas?
I've never been a big anime guy, like more like current anime.
Yeah,
it's been a little bit too sort of just a little. I don't even know what it is. Just
I think I know what you're talking about because I remember Teen Titans was the first show to start doing like incorporating little anime things into our classic Warner Brothers animation. Is that what you're talking about?
It's not even about the animation, just sort of some of the way.
There's some of the like rhythms that they'll do
that I'm just like JD just said. I love that Cal is relatively weak. Like it's not even about that. It's just I don't know. There's just little things that are very much more anime than they are classic American cartoons. And so I'm like,
let me take a guess at something that I think will typify it, because this is what really stood out to me, is the first time they meet Cat Grant and Ron Troop and what's the third
Steve.
person? Yes, that's right. Steve Lombard. And it's not Ron Troop anymore.
It's Ronnie Troop.
Ronnie Troop, that's right. The first time they meet them, they're in their little office, and they come in, and the three of them kind of exit reality for a second.
Yeah, and like introduce themselves. And
and they've got like a spotlight. Yeah. And it's like, oh, how did that happen in their world?
Yeah, and I'm like, you okay, cool.
Yeah.
And so I can kind of ignore that stuff because I do like the different direction that they're going with the origin. Like the fact that he showed up during some random invasion, what looked like an invasion, from Krypton, and like Jor-El was involved somehow, but Jor-El doesn't speak any English, and Cal doesn't speak any Kryptonian or Kryptonese, or however you prefer to say it. So they haven't really had a discussion yet.
Yeah,
they're just lots of like, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about?" I don't know.
And the classic sort of like, well, classic because it was in Smallville only, really. Looks like Jor-El's a bad guy in the beginning.
Yeah.
Like he thinks that anyway.
Yeah. So it's
in the comics, whatever that the Bendis run had Jor-El. Jor-El's bad guy.
Your man went crazy.
That's true. Yeah.
But but in general, I like if Thursday night I was like, leave me alone.
Good.
It's midnight. I'm trying to watch. Like, leave me alone. I'm trying to watch my Superman. So I'm enjoying it. The one thing that made me laugh was it's made for such a generation that doesn't know a lot of the whole Superman lore. So the idea that the general was a big reveal being that's obviously Sam Lane.
A friend of
like,
mine texted me. He's like,
about?
"How did I not get that?" I'm like, "I have no idea."
Yeah, because you're new to this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
how's
don't quote the what did Aslan say? Don't quote the deep magic to me. I was there when they wrote it.
Yes.
what are your thoughts on Jack Quaid? He's
he's
the
Superman.
voice. He's the voice of Superman.
Yeah.
I was.
he does a good job.
He's grown on me.
Yeah. I mean,
grown
now
on
he's
me.
in Star Trek and Superman.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
pretty
Well,
solid.
that's exactly why I'm a little like, ooh, I don't know about that casting. Like my Superman is Superman. You know, you know, he's the whole package. Oh, can I ask you? We haven't talked. What do you think of the casting for live action Superman?
I love it.
Yeah, me
I
too.
love it.
Yeah,
I'm.
kids got to put on some size.
Yeah, he's got to bulk up, but they all always do. Like,
Right.
I don't know whose job it is to train people for superhero movies, but whoever it is doing a fantastic job.
Yeah.
Like everybody.
Yeah, give him Thor's
turns
guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And he doesn't have to be. I don't think we need it to
No, I don't
be-
need him to be huge.
Right.
Yeah, 'cause
Christopher Reeve wasn't, like
Henry
Arnold
Cavill
Schwarzenegger.
wasn't huge. He was
Right.
just
Right.
jacked.
Henry Cavill was
Yeah.
the right size.
Yeah, he was.
Superman, I'll say.
He was the perfect size Superman.
Because he's drawn like a Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
But I think Henry
sometimes,
Cavill, when we
Henry
think of
Cavill,
real life, that's
Yeah,
just
how
enough
you should-
mass.
yeah, exactly. He had the right amount of mass.
Yeah.
and
Rachel
so
Brosnahan is like, even before they announced that casting, she's one of the
Maisel.
few. Yeah, I love that show. One of the few times where I'm like, you know who would be good as this character? Rachel Brosnahan is Lois
Yeah.
Lane, and then they did that, and I was like,
Did
oh
we
yeah.
Did we get a Ma or Pa Kent?
Not yet.
No, not
Okay,
yet.
I'm really curious about that because regardless of what he did and what people disagree, Kevin Costner was great casting.
He was amazing.
Yeah, I thought he was
casting
good.
was
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah.
He definitely had a he definitely had the John Kent look about him.
Yeah.
Yeah. As was in the original Superman. I don't know the actor, but that
that
actor
guy
was
was
great as
really
well.
good.
They were
What
really
was I
good.
just reading.
It's just got to be someone that can explain the right way to live to you.
There's a book that just came out called Clark and Lex.
Okay.
It's a YA book, and Jonathan and Martha Kent are black. Nothing changes. Nothing else changes. Just the fact that the farm couple that found him is black. That's it. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. Nothing else changes. And I wonder.
Clark is still white?
Yeah.
Oh,
Wait, he's not their biological son, Terry.
Well,
he comes from a different.
I know. I know. I just didn't know how far they were going to.
Yeah,
they were
right,
gonna
right,
go.
that was it. That's the
Interesting.
only thing that
really
changed.
interesting
Yeah.
shift.
It's the only thing different.
Are they in
And
Kansas still?
Yeah.
That wasn't always the case either, as I know
Yeah.
you know. But
Yeah.
yeah.
It's the literally the only thing different. And I wish it had gotten bigger. It's because the book's really cool. It's a really, really cool book. I wish it had gotten a little bit more press to see how people would have reacted to that.
Yeah, that would be neat.
Because quite honestly, there was nothing to react to. But I feel like people would have had they known.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Maybe the thing is that boy. So this is a bigger conversation than we have time for, and I would love to do that. We actually got to wrap up pretty soon. But I think the way people have been bringing more folks of different backgrounds and colors and ethnicities and things into the media is that way of the way it doesn't make a difference. Because literally, Superman's adopted.
Yeah.
Perfect way in.
Yeah.
You know, April O'Neil.
Yeah.
Perfect way to switch that character too. There's a bunch of things.
One Piece
There's a bunch
does
of
the same
moves
too.
you can do.
I noticed in the One Piece show, their team of friends is everyone's a different ethnicity, which I'm pretty sure is not the case in the original. It doesn't affect their characterization at all. You
Yeah, and it also doesn't affect who. It doesn't affect your leads. You know, for example, like in the same vein, just to be totally culturally appropriate, if you made Jon Stewart a different race or ethnicity, that would mess with stuff.
Yeah.
If you change a different, for example, the who's the daughter, the girl that is green,
Jade.
yes.
Jade. There's your way in of like, okay, anybody can play
Anybody
Jade.
can
Like,
Jade, yeah.
if you
Yeah,
just
yeah.
keep playing that way, I think that's a way around the landmines that there are. That's
You
a
would
great
think
way
that,
to do
but they
it.
tried it with
I would.
Starfire.
They tried it with Starfire.
Right. Did not take.
Well, Starfire didn't look like Starfire though. She
Starfire's
wasn't
orange.
I know
Yeah.
she wasn't orange.
That's true.
I guess is my yeah.
Okay. All right. I see what you're saying.
Now, in the new movie, I'm not sure how much, if at all, we'll see the Kents anyway. Like you were saying about the casting, because it's not an origin story.
No, it's not an
Right,
origin
so,
story,
yeah.
which I'm glad about. I do want to see where they're going with it.
Me too.
You know, I'm.
It could even be a photo.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm not
he
saying
is a man who loves his family. You know,
he does. Now, I mean, them being alive still is only modern age. Since 1985. You know, before that, you only ever saw them in the Superboy comics.
Yeah, and the Superboy stuff. And
Yeah.
like classic stuff. They died early.
Yeah, they died. That was his impetus to go to Metropolis, and become Superman.
They died
was
early.
it both of them?
Yeah.
I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
they both died early, and then eventually they changed it so just Jonathan died.
Yeah. Which might have been because of the Christopher Reeve movie, actually. I don't know.
Well,
but
it's
maybe-
I mean,
it was
it's
before that.
Was it?
That's
Okay,
a
yeah.
rock solid origin story of like Superman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, of learning the lessons from your father, as in just to like capitalize on that. Of
Yeah.
like,
Well, I mean, in the original, it was probably in Action Comics #1, where it's just like he grew up in Smallville, scene of him at the graves. I'm out of here.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be Superman.
holding this truck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Robin Monroe Jr.'s got a grand.
The other change is he really like hot sauce on his collard greens. I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that. So we did movies.
We did.
TV shows.
Well,
did we
I'm
do
not-
your show?
we
Yeah,
did. It
you
was Star Trek,
you
Strange
did
New
Star
Worlds.
Trek, we did-
Yeah.
Yep, I did Baki.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then there was another one. We were gonna do comics.
We were gonna do comics. I'm not sure.
We got about 5 minutes.
We got about 5 minutes. You know, I haven't actually had a chance to read that many comics this summer, and I'm not even sure that I read this book during the summer. But I was going to talk about the Dresden Files novel series.
Oh, okay.
That there was a while where not much had come out because the guy was writing a different novel series that I tried, wasn't super into, but then he finally came out with another book. And Dresden Files is great. If you guys saw the old TV show, it's similar but very different, but with Paul Blackthorne as the main guy from Quentin Lance from Arrow.
Yep.
And this show, he's just like, he's a wizard private investigator, right? Who starts off as a guy who all the other wizards are kind of suspicious of because he had to kill his uncle because his uncle was evil and was trying to kill him, but they don't necessarily believe him. And it's progressed so much. It's a great series. If you want to get into something that there is a ton of, then
There's a lot of that.
get
Dresden
in it.
Files
Yeah.
stuff. Okay.
Because if you want to just try it out, everything wraps up in book 1. You can just read book 1. You can just read book 2. But as it goes on into like book 17 or 18 that it's at now, it's a woven tapestry of a story dealing with, you know, all kind of ramifications and permutations of this world, and he's evolved in his place. And I highly recommend the Dresden Files by Jim Butcher.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'll do one. This is just something I've been kicking around. I think I am going to go back to Fantastic Four when Jonathan Hickman took over and follow Hickman's run
phenomenal.
all the way.
Oh my
Phenomenal.
God.
I mean, all the way
I didn't know
through
we could just,
X-Men.
Oh,
I didn't know we could just
man.
pick anything.
Well, I
Jesus,
mean, I
that
got to go
Hickman
back, but
Fantastic Four
I've
stuff.
never done it. I've never done
so good.
from and actually read everything
The
from
definitive
Hickman. I'd like to do
Fantastic
it.
Four run after Lee and Kirby, in my opinion,
That
is Hickman's
that
run.
Hickman stuff
Oh,
is
so good.
magnificent.
So good.
bro.
And he goes from Fantastic Four into New Avengers.
Into
Yes.
Avenger. Yeah.
Yeah, Fantastic Four to Avengers.
It
and
becomes
then,
the whole Secret
Yeah,
Warriors thing.
That I did read. I read that cover to cover. That's beautiful.
but
Secret Wars too.
it all of that builds from Fantastic.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I understand. So I
Bro,
want to do a
it's-
reread.
It is fantastic.
It's so good. It looks beautiful.
Yeah.
And Hickman, you know, he can be a little dense, but he's
man,
good.
That dude,
man,
that
he's
dude,
really
the
good.
way his mind works.
Yeah.
I love it.
And it
There
felt
were-
like the adventurers that they were originally, you know?
There were rumors of him doing Legion of Superheroes
Oh, I would've
book
loved
that
that.
I would have
Oh,
killed
man.
for.
That would've been- yeah.
For
Has
that.
he ever jumped over?
No.
At least not.
No, not yet.
Maybe when he was, like,
fingers
just starting
crossed.
out or something,
Oh
but-
my god.
Is he finished? He's still on X-Men?
He's wrapping up.
He's
his
wrapping up
X-Men stuff is
X-Men,
wrapping
right?
up. Yeah.
Yeah, because he does a great job with, like, high-level science-y
Yeah,
stuff.
dude. They're diverting away from a lot of stuff he was doing on the X-Men, so that like that whole thing that he built again has fallen apart because the X-Men have the worst luck in comics. But it was
So if Hickman took over a Brainiac comic,
Ooh, I would read
oh my
that
god,
comic.
give me all that.
Yeah. And Brainiac talks probably exactly how Hickman would write him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm still reading Christopher Priest's Superman Lost, which is some of the best stuff that I've read in 20 years,
Oh,
man.
nice.
in the first issue he gets lost in this black hole, like saving the world sort of thing, and then like 10 pages later, maybe he comes back. But for him, he's been gone like 20 years.
Oh, it's the reverse.
Yeah, he's been.
Okay. Interesting.
He's been gone for 20 years.
So what has happened to the world without Superman? Is that the conceit?
No,
it's
because he's only been gone for like 15 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, that's
No, he was only
interesting.
gone for like a couple hours.
Cool.
Like it was to the point where Bruce showed up to tell Lois that he was gone, and he was already back. But for him, he's been gone for almost 2 decades, and
That's
so it's telling that story. Bro,
That's sweet
it
costume
is
too.
Crazy,
That,
yo!
like,
That
all white with the
he's
gold
got this
thing.
all white costume with the
Really?
yellow. Oh
Cool
man,
costume.
it is so good.
Yeah.
And it's Christopher Priest, and that dude just does not write bad stuff. So yeah, I think issue 6 just came out. It's 10 issues. It is phenomenal. It's absolutely fantastic.
Nice.
There's your recommendations. Go Eagles.
Go Birds!
All right. I think
Brian, I'll leave it to you to wrap it up.
all right. I am wrapping it up hereby with this final message. The thing is wrapped up, and we'll see you guys
Greatest
next week.
ending ever. Wait, is this a cliffhanger?
Yeah.
It's definitely a cliffhanger.
Continue next week for when we talk about a different thing. We're not sure what it is yet.
Keep going.
It may or may not be a back-to-school special where we send a hypothetical college kid off with some comics that we think would be meaningful to them. Yes, or just impart good lessons, wherever we choose it. If we do that, you'll find out next week.
Also, hey, thanks everybody for jumping on at the new time. We had great comments and,
Yeah,
and
thanks a lot,
interaction.
guys.
Thanks
Yeah,
for
that was
joining
awesome.
us at
Thank you.
4.
Yeah.
Rob Monroe, you're right. Superman Lost is amazing. Yeah, I like
Excellent.
this guy. I like the way he thinks.
Cool.
I think we're done.
All right. Da-da!